Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes. So as we all know, this NBA offseason, the storyline is pretty much like where LeBron James is going to go to, Paul George, DeMarcus Cousins, the trade talks with Kawhi Leonard. Before today's video, we are going to look at 15 NBA free agents no one is talking about and where they could possibly sign at, because while those are all superstar players, it's really all about like the glue guys and always about like the role players and stuff like that that can really help make us an NBA team very successful. So this is an article by Mathis Honorato. I think that's how you say that right there. So let's go ahead and get started, my friends. If you guys do enjoy this type of content, be sure to drop a like on this video so I know this going forward. So here we go, guys. The first player we have is JJ Redick, and this guy has him going back to the Philadelphia 76ers. Yeah, I don't really see any reason why he should leave that team. The only reason I could think about is perhaps if they end up getting like a Paul George or Kawhi Leonard or somebody like that, that might actually have to make them play shooting guard or something like that, because JJ Redick still needs to be a starter as an NBA player. He averaged 15 points per game last season. His three-point shot has been absolutely crazy throughout his entire NBA career. So yeah, I mean, Philadelphia getting JJ Redick back should be like one of their highest priorities this NBA offseason, just because like he's the perfect complement player to Ben Simmons that does not shoot any three-pointers at all. You need that spacing out there, on the 76ers when it comes to their offense, just because of guys like Ben Simmons. So yeah, man, JJ Redick, go back to Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, I say you should probably stay there throughout your entire NBA career. Now, if you're on that team for a few seasons and it's just like you guys cannot get over the hump, then maybe you can start looking at ring chasing and going to a different team that has a better chance. But as of right now, I think it's the perfect fit. Okay, next up we have Avery Bradley going to the Houston Rockets. This is kind of an interesting choice right there because, he's a 6'4", 3-and-D type player out there, kind of fallen off a little bit since his Boston Celtic days, or should I just say last season in general. I don't really know if this is a great fit right there, just because, like, yes, this is a man that can play with either James Harden or with Chris Paul in the backcourt based off their bench, but at the same time, you still have Eric Gordon on the team, who's like a 6'4", three-point shooting guard. So I just don't know if the fit is quite there, unless they are willing to maybe sign Avery Bradley to more of a friendly contract and then trying to shop Eric Gordon to a different team for a better need out there. Just because, like, Avery Bradley, I think, is a player that needs to be on a championship contending team. Do I think he's a starter anymore? I mean, probably not. It depends, because if he's going to the championship caliber team, probably more of a 6th or 7th man off the bench. But if he wants to go to a bitch ass team out there, then yeah, he can start on there and kind of chase the contract more if he wants, instead of chasing a ring. But yeah, the Houston Rockets, interesting choice. It all mattered about like what other players they get rid of off their roster though for him to really make sense going to that team. Okay, next up we have Brook Lopez to the Portland Trailblazers. So right now, the center on the Trailblazers is Nurkic. I'm not quite sure how much money they are going to pay him in this NBA offseason. I believe he is a restricted free agent. So if a team goes out there and offers that man, max contract money, then the Portland Trailblazers, who are already financially hurting, might not want to match that. And then Brook Lopez would be a pretty solid replacement. I mean, defensively and from a rebound standpoint, he's really not going to bring you all that much, but he can space the floor. He's pretty good on the inside. He's got a pretty decent post game, and I feel like the pick and pop game with him, Damian Lillard, could still be pretty solid out there. I mean, Brook Lopez, was one of the greatest players on the Brooklyn Nets franchise since he's been in the NBA. So he went on the Lakers, did okay over there. Do I feel like he's like a home run? No, not from like, I don't know, man, like trying to like become like a 10 or anything like that, but he's just a pretty solid role player. So yeah, Portland Trailblazers, depends what they do with Nurkic. Now if Nurkic stays on the team, then again, Brook Lopez does not really make much sense unless he wants to be a bench player, which I don't think he does. I actually think he's probably going to go back to the Lakers on a pretty nice contract. Assuming they get like Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and Paul George, then Brook Lopez will be good for that team. Okay, next we have Trevor Ariza back to the Houston Rockets. I mean, I've heard some pretty, I don't know, man, some different talks out there about this man going to the Golden State Warriors for like a minimum contract, so I think he probably will end up doing that anyway. I mean, the Rockets have like PJ Tucker, who I think he had a pretty good postseason for the most part, and just a team out there that can pretty much get a ton of other good players out there. Do I think Trevor is going to go back? I mean, they also got that Luke Blanque, I don't know how to say his name. You all know what I'm talking about, man. Luke out there. The dude that was missed like the playoffs because of injury and stuff like that. But yeah, Trevor Ariza, depends what type of money that the Houston Rockets throw him out there. I feel like he's not going to get the greatest offer, and I don't think he's going to be on the Houston Rockets once again. But yeah, man, go to the Warriors, chase that ring out there. I don't personally love that, but hey, that's what you want to do, then go for it. Next up, we have Will Barton, the Chicago Bulls. Okay, so he is a 6'6" shooting guard that played for the Denver Nuggets, averaged around like 17 points per game. It's going to come down to the position that the Chicago Bulls go for in the draft. I feel like they should go for Mohamed Bamba, put him at center, put Lord Marketing at the 4 spot. Then you have a backcourt of Chris Dunn and also Zach LaVine. Will Barton being 6'6" could definitely play small forward in today's game. I think he needs to be a starter in the NBA just due to his perimeter three-point shooting out there, man, his abilities on the offensive side of things. So yeah, I feel like the Chicago Bulls could offer him a pretty decent contract out there. It doesn't really make much sense for him to go back to the Denver Nuggets because they already do have like Jamal Murray at point guard. They already have Gary Harris, who got like $84 million contract, I believe, at the shooting guard position. Now, he could play small forward for that team, but I really don't think that's the offense the Denver Nuggets typically run, is with a small forward like that. They already got Wilson Chandler on that squad. I believe somebody else that I cannot think of, and they will also have a lottery pick, I believe. Next up, we have Derrick Favors going back to the Utah Jazz. See, I personally do not like this fit right there because Derrick Favors at the power forward position does not make much sense due to his style of play. Now, I do think that if he was to play the center position, that he could actually be a very high asset for an NBA team out there. That's not going to happen on the Utah Jazz, though, just because, like, they already have Rudy Gobert, and he's like, Rudy Gobert is the ideal center you want right now in the NBA, minus, you know, guys that can shoot three-pointers and stuff like that. But yeah, Derrick Favors going back to the Jazz. I don't know, man. I want to see them get more of a stretch forward to put alongside Gobert. I feel like offensively that just makes much more sense than opening things up for a slasher like Donovan Mitchell. Also, Ricky Rubio, not the greatest shooter out there these days. So yeah, Derrick Favors, I like to see him go to a different team out there, man. Play the center position. I think it would help him and his career out a ton. All right, next we have Tyreke Evans to the Miami Heat. So Tyreke would pretty much be joining the cast of the Heat players that would just be like a whole bunch of really good players that are just one star away from really contending out in the Eastern Conference. Can I think about it right now, like, he is actually going to get a pretty good sized contract this NBA offseason due to the season he had on the Grizzlies. I think he averaged like 19 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds, shot like a career high from the 3-point line. So yeah, you put him on that Heat team, and that definitely does like add like another really great player. But I mean, how much farther is he going to get them out there for the money he's going to get? Because that team already does have Dion Waiters, who will be back from injury, who has a pretty good sized contract, I think. Tyler Johnson, who plays shooting guard, also has a large contract. So I don't know if it makes much sense to get Tyreke Evans to the Miami Heat. I mean, yeah, they can get him for a pretty good size, for a pretty nice, you know, financially sounded contract. And yeah, go to the Heat team out there, and he'll probably get some pretty good buckets out there, man. Maybe even potentially a future All-Star in the Eastern Conference. Next up, we have KCP to the San Antonio Spurs. That actually is a pretty nice fit. When I think of KCP, I actually think he could be like a Danny Green type of player. And we all know how Greg Popovich is as working like 3-and-D players into his system. Do I think he would start on that team? I mean, I think he probably would, guys. I really do think he would. In KCP, watching him as a Detroit Pistons fan, he is a guy that can like have like those 17 to 22 point per games every now and then. He always plays solid defense, always has a pretty consistent 3-point shot. I mean, yeah, I guess at times he can be a little streaky offensively, but under the right system that kind of like controls his shot selection, I think he could be a very good asset to the Spurs team. Now, we all know they're probably not going to have Kawhi Leonard on that team right there, so KCP's still pretty young out there. I think being able to get him, you know, via free agency would be a big time W for the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah, man, what's his man? Averaging 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Definitely not bad at all. Okay, we have Rondo on the Los Angeles Clippers. Rondo still needs to be a starter in the NBA. I think he definitely proved that as the point guard for the Pelicans this past NBA season going into the playoffs. I mean, like, him in the playoffs, guys, he can definitely get your team to that next level. So put him on the Clippers team, just a squad that once again is filled with a whole bunch of really solid players. He would pretty much ensure that all those guys are running the offense correctly. I mean, he's a veteran out there, not to mention the Clippers do have, well, like the 13th and 14th pick in the draft, something like that. So you had those young bloods to a squad with Rondo. If they get DeAndre Jordan back, they got Tobias Harris. I think the Clippers are definitely a sleeper team out in the Western Conference. Now, if this team could also get Kawhi Leonard somehow, well, the man might just be game over. Like, the Clippers might be a top 4 team in the Western Conference. All right, next up, we have Greg Monroe going back to the Boston Celtics. I don't honestly remember like what type of numbers he put on for the Boston Celtics this season. I don't remember him doing like too much out there, but I mean, that's the team he wanted to go to. Was it last NBA season? I believe he got traded to or signed with. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, it could be a pretty cheap option off the bench that can, you know, get you some scoring on the inside. His mid-range game, like, he can knock it down. Rebounding's always solid. Defensively, not going to bring it too much out there. But the Boston Celtics is a team that kind of can like scoring off the bench at times. And I think Greg Monroe definitely helps fill that void, you know, pretty good out there. Okay, next up we have Wayne Ellington, one of the most like underrated players in the NBA. Between him and Josh Richardson, the Miami Heat, I don't know if it was just a matter of them just finding a system that worked for them, you know, under the coach out there, Eric Spoelstra, or if it was just like these guys just had like a reassurance season where this make like, man, like they can do this anywhere out there. But Wayne Ellington seems to find himself a nice home with the Miami Heat. Great three-point shooter out there. I think he needs to resign the Miami Heat. He was just a big part of what they did this past NBA season. Looks like he also knocked out about 40% of his threes. All right, now we have Michael Beasley to the Phoenix Suns. Interesting fit right there, especially if they get DeAndre Ayton. Then all of a sudden you have a team of like Alfred Payton, Devin Booker, Josh Jackson, Michael Beasley, and DeAndre Ayton. I mean, no, that team's definitely not making the playoffs. But I mean, Beasley, like, when he's actually motivated, he can be like a really good offensive option, man. I feel like in that Sun system, he could probably put up like 16 points a game, you know, something like that, give me the starter minutes as long as he is committed to it. The thing about him though is that he doesn't always care. So it's like if he's not playing for a ring, if he's playing on a team that's the Phoenix Suns that's just gonna be a lottery team, is he really going to give it his all? I'm not quite sure about that. A lot of that comes down to coaching. So I don't know. I would personally like to see him go to a team that can contend for an NBA championship, because I feel like he could be a great option off the bench given the minutes. All right, we have Ersan Ilyasova going back to the Philadelphia 76ers. I remember there was one game in the playoffs where he had like 17 points and 13 rebounds, and that pretty much sums it up right there. Like, he has been a great fit for the 76ers. And once again, a team that is contending out there. He's definitely okay with having a bench role behind Dario Saric. Brings that team some great three-point shooting. Can knock down the mid-range shot. Can even like create his own shot at times too. So yeah, go back to the 76ers. If not, go into a different team that could definitely use your services, man. You definitely need to be on a championship contending team, not like the Atlanta Hawks like you were for a bit there. All right, next up we have Dwyane Wade back to the Miami Heat. Yeah, I think it's going to be his final season. I think he's going to play like a limited role on the Heat team, probably like 15 to 20 minutes per game. Definitely not going to be a starter out there. But yeah, man, it's going to be his final season, I'd say. It's kind of sad because I do want to see him contend for a championship yet again. I still think he has something to offer out there. But at the same time, man, I love the idea of him ending the career where it all started with the Miami Heat. And also where he brought them a few championships. So yes, Dwyane Wade, just go out there, man, get your paycheck. And we'll see you in the Hall of Fame pretty damn soon. And finally, we have Julius Randle to the Dallas Mavericks. So there's actually been a rumor going on for about a year now. I don't think the Lakers are going to re-sign him. He is, I believe, a restricted free agent, right? So either way, like, I feel like a young team like the Dallas Mavericks are going to offer him a hefty bitch-ass contract out there. I really don't want to say bitch-ass contract. I really do think, man, the right system, Julius Randle could be like the ideal center in the NBA right now, just because like he's very athletic. His jump shot can get going sometime, man. He can handle the basketball. So put him in the Dallas Mavericks. Once again, guys, probably not a playoff team. Now, if he was to play the power forward position on that team, and maybe they have, they somehow get like DeAndre Jordan, then that's also a pretty interesting fit. But yeah, so Julius Randle, I think he definitely deserves a nice size contract. He might have even been the best player on the Lakers last season that nobody really talked about. Dallas Mavericks, good choice. Go there if you can. But anyway, my friends, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to drop that like, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and peace out.